All right, here's a lesson 4 homework. This is real world exponential equations, solving them using the equations we were introduced last unit. This is the equation we use for like an annual growth. A is your initial value. R is your growth or decay rate. Make sure it's a decimal. Y is your future value. It's the same for here, only this is the equation for when we are compounding continuously. Okay, and notice that the R is in the exponent. Okay, so the first thing to do is like read the statement and talk about like what situation do we have, what equation should we use, this one or that one. I bought a car for $20,000, discovered its yearly depreciation rate was 13%. How long until your car's worth $8,000? So this is a decay thing and it's an annual. So we are going to use the equation y equals a. You can either use 1 minus r or 1 plus r, just your rate is going to be negative. Now, my advice is to take this r and just add it to 1 right away. Make sure you know that you start out with a car worth $20,000. In your calculator, do 1 minus or 1 plus a negative. And we're seeing how long it'll take until our car is worth $8,000, okay? Now for all these equations, it's very simple. Once it's set up, there's nothing being added on at the end. Well, all we need to do is isolate what x is attached to. X is not attached to 20,000 and 0.87, it's just attached to the 0.87. So what is 20,000 doing? It's multiplying. The first step for all of these is to divide. Now, let's make sure we have the proper calculator etiquette. We never want to take a decimal and round it. We always want the full decimal. Proper math etiquette is to write out every step along the way so you know what's going on. This will help you when you go back and solve equations from lesson 3. The last step is to get rid of this exponent. Okay, I got to get rid of this 0.7 to the x. How do you get rid of an exponent? With a log. The base of the exponent is 0.87. I will log base 0.87 both sides. Do it correctly. And either log base, type it in just as you see it. 0.87 is the base, 0.4, or log of the number divided by log of the base. Okay? Give me 3 decimal places so I know you're accurate, 6.579. Early stages of COVID-19 pandemic, researchers have found that the number of people infected in a certain city was growing continuously. Okay, that's the key word, continuous compounding. That's telling me I need to use y equals a e to the rx at a rate of 0.6 per day. So that's r. They give it to you as a rate. You don't have to change it to a decimal. That's important. For the continuous compounding, I'll always give you the rate as a decimal. For the other ones, if I give you percent, you change it to a decimal. So you start with just one person being infected. How many days would it take for 1,000 people to be infected? Okay, so future is 1,000. We're starting with one person infected. We have 0.6x in the exponent. I mean, doing the steps, I would divide by 1. Now, dividing by 1 is not going to change it, but it gets rid of the 1. Now I need to get rid of this exponent that has a base of e. This is when we do a log base e, or the natural log of both sides. Now doing that just gets rid of this. I still have 0.6x in the exponent. It stays. I type in log base E of 1,000. So many ways to do this. The natural log is the log base E. It's the shortcut. You could also go log base, find E in your calculator. It's over the division symbol. If you have an older calculator, you need to do E to the first. You could also do log 1,000 divided by log E. Keep that entire number, 6.907 dot dot dot. I need to then solve for x by dividing by 0.6. $11.512. Per year, not continuous compounding, just per year. We're growing. Divide 3.8 by 100 to get it as a decimal. 3.8% divided by 100 turns into a decimal of 0.038. I start, there's my future. Starting with y equals a 1 plus r to the x, I'll have 9,000 equals 5,000 times, I'm going to go ahead and do 1 plus r. It's easy to do because it'll just be 1 plus 0.038, which is 1.038. Now, get rid of the 5,000. This turns into 1.8 equals, the 5,000 is gone, I have 1.038 to the x. I need to get rid of the 1.038 base of the exponent. Log to get rid of the exponent. This goes away, leaves me with just x. Log base 1.038 of 1.8. Or you can do log 1.8 divided by log 1.038, you get 15.76 years. Early in 2020, the price of Bitcoin was going up 30% per month. You bought $50,000 in Bitcoin. How many months would you expect it to take for your investment to be $500,000? Okay, so it's per month. You might be thinking about like this as being a compounding, but we're just going to say month is like years. It's like, don't worry about the compounding. We're just going to say this equation, only x is going to represent months. Okay? I bought 50,000, so that's my starting. I want to know how long until it's 500,000. And I'm rich and I can buy a house. R is 0.3, 30 divided by 100. Add that to 1, it's 1.3. Get that. Step 1, divide. How long will it take me to make 10 times my amount? Take the log base both sides. Where'd you guys get those snacks anyways? I thought the vending machines were... It's open? Oh, look at us. 8.77 months. Look at that. It's not going to take that long at all to get rich. However, I kind of put this example in here for you to say, like, compounding interest is dangerous. Things in the real world never work this way. What's realistic is getting like 3% per year in a savings account. That you can count on. It is not realistic to get 30% per month. People invested in Bitcoin thinking that they would get rich. Yeah, Bitcoin went up, but then it tanked. Past performance is not indicative of future returns. That is something you'll learn if you take a finance class. It's back up to 30,000. That's pretty impressive, but it got up to 40,000. Tanked. Now people are back in. Maybe it's going to go back up. It's all speculation. There's nothing that is backing this up. If you bought when it was 6,000, though, you're still feeling pretty good. Anyways, this is something you can bank on. The population of cockroaches grows continuously. Okay, continuously, y equals AE to the RX. R is 0.3. They're giving you the R. We started with 2 cockroaches. How long until the population was 50? 50 is the future. 2 is what I start. R is 0.3. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 50 divided by 2 is 25. Get rid of the E. Get rid of the E. Log base E, or the natural log of both sides. Now I'm going to do this so I can get my answer. Natural log of 25 divided by 0.3. You'd have to take the natural log of 25 and then divide it by 0.3. 10 weeks, that's scary. In your lesson, there was a question about Bernie Madoff, who promised you 20% per year in returns. A lot of people invested in Bernie Madoff's investment scheme, thinking that they were rich and gonna get more rich, and that their money was safe. Turns out, Bernie Madoff was running a Ponzi scheme. Instead of earning his investors 20% per year, he actually spent the funds that you gave him. He spent it on himself, on his employees. He did not invest a single penny in it. It is the largest Ponzi scheme ever, where he took investors' money and just gave it to others or spent it themselves. So you would lose 50% of your funds per year. How long did it take Bernie Madoff to take your $400,000 which you invested and leave you with only $10? That's funny. $10 is your future. You started out with $400,000 invested in Bernie Madoff. R is negative 0.5. 1 plus R would be 0.5. Okay, that's important. You're not going to use 1.5. If you tried to do that, you're not going to get an answer because you'd be growing. You can't grow and start with amount of money and make it less. Your value would have to be negative. It'd be like, oh, back in the day, years ago. Now, this is a good question because you're going to see something with your calculator when you do these calculations. Divide by 400,000. You get this number. Now, I don't know, write it down, but be prepared to use it. We need to get rid of this. Now, this is where it's important not to round numbers or anything, just like use what you see, or pop over here and use this answer. 15.28 years. That's funny. Or you could have done the 10 divided by the 40,000 or 400,000. Take the log of that number divided by the log of 0.5. Okay, 15.28 years, and you have $10 left. Sorry about you, bud. Hope you didn't invest in Bernie Madoff. All right, that's it. Mr. Messner is out.